All right, this is Sun City running. Suhail Borzlan here, and we're here with Carlos Mendez. You just signed your letter of intent with University of Incarnate Word.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Congratulations, D1 school, fantastic place to go run. They got a great program there, and we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Um, was this school one of your top choices? As you kind of started looking into colleges to potentially run and study at?
Oh, yes. It was for sure my top three. I was leaning towards for the final weeks, I was leaning towards UTEP and UIW,
Mm-hmm.
just like looking at the majors and their programs and stuff. I think I felt more in love with UIW and what it has to offer.
Okay.
And the biggest part that made me like pick that was the business major. I
Okay.
want to study finance and then have a really good program for that.
What did you feel was kind of like the harder thing for you to do when it came to working down the process of, you said it was one of your top three. What did you feel was the most difficult thing about kind of like whittling down to all right, now I got three choices. Now I need to break it down to one. What about that to you was the most difficult aspect?
Mm. So the biggest part, I do want to leave El Paso. That was like one of my things. Like I do want to go out there and explore and see, like be on my own, amateur. And but the biggest part that was like holding me back from that and like still wanting to stay at UTIP was like leaving my family and like my house basically. But
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it can
that's
be
about
appealing to stay by. I understand that. Uh,
yeah.
do you feel like that played a heavy influence on potentially staying? And how did those conversations go, with your family about, what, I really like UTEP, but I think I want to go with UIW.
Yes. So I did talk a lot with my parents about this. We were on this for like months and months, like 3 months since the beginning of the year. And we went on visits to both schools. We talked with the coaches and stuff. And I think my parents agreed to, they said whatever I think is right, that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I did pick UIW as my final choice.
Awesome, awesome. And actually we'll backtrack a little bit. Um, you ran at Coronado and then you
Yeah.
transfer over at your senior year. Um, Is this how you envisioned your running process to or your running career to go? And what possibilities did you see yourself when you did finally make the jump to move to Franklin?
Yes, so actually I was gonna quit this year running. Um, I wasn't the best athlete. I used to like skip practices. I turned unmotivated. I came in my freshman year very motivated and very driven and hungry, but just as the years passed, I kept slowing down my times and just being undisciplined. So that summer, uh, I went to this camp, the summer camp. It's called Ryla Camp. It's
Hmm.
like a brewery, and there, my life changed, and I realized that I need to become something big and make my parents proud and just have a purpose. So I said, I'm gonna move schools, start fresh, have a new life basically. And I also read this book by David Goggins that really motivated me too. It's called Can't Hurt Me.
Hmm.
And after reading that book with my mom, actually, we like read it together. I just became even more hungry to like become someone great and hopefully inspire my little brothers too. Just being that role model. So I moved schools. I joined the team now looking at it as like, oh, I'm just gonna try my best at every practice. I'm gonna
Hmm.
push it hard at every practice. I'm gonna not skip a single one, not show up late, just like being on time,
Right.
being disciplined with it. And also my diet changed. I ate a lot more healthier. And yeah.
So it's kind of like you were born again there at Franklin High School.
Yes, actually at the first meet, a lot of people told me that, oh, you used to go to Coronado, right? Like they see me as a more different person, which I'm very happy about.
So the way your season played out at Franklin, is that how you kind of saw it going for yourself, or was there anything about that process that kind of surprised you?
Of course, like it very surprised me. I said, whatever happens after just going to every practice and pushing it, whatever comes out of it, that's what I'm gonna become.
Well, looking at some of your times, and you, you had the privilege of, training with two incredible programs, both Coronado and
Yeah.
Franklin. They're great programs. But what I
Mhm.
thought was most amazing were your your evolution from 2023 to 2024 in regards to track. In 2023, you were running around a 450, which I think was at district. And then, fast forward 2024, you're running 421s at regionals. And what I thought was most impressive was your 3,200 meter time, which in 2023, I believe you're at a 10:39, which was at the gym Alejandro meet at Eastwood. And fast forward again a year, this past year at district, you're running a 9:16, which
Mhm.
is pretty incredible stuff. I mean, we're looking at almost a 2-minute change. And, in the 32, that's a big jump, especially in one year. Um, what can you say about that evolution, that progression? And if you can at all, what point of your season did you feel like, okay, something big is going to happen, and maybe I didn't expect to be running 9:16, but I knew something good was going to happen.
Yeah, so the biggest part is mindset for sure. I think running is a lot about your mindset and just having that drive. Also, my
Hmm.
teammates too. They motivated me every time. So actually in cross country, I was doing well too. I started improving my times at every meet. But right before districts, I got hurt. So
Hmm.
that kind of like unmotivated me like a little bit. But just looking back at like flashbacks like on myself and where I was, I said, this injury won't matter. I'm not gonna make any excuses.
Hmm.
And going into that track season from the injury, I said I'm gonna just do whatever I can and hang in on there with the rest of the guys. So my teammate Juan on the first meet of track, I said I'm gonna just stay with you the whole time for the 2 mile. I'm not gonna let you go more in front so that gap doesn't increase. Like I'm gonna stay right with him.
Hmm.
So that's what I did. I think it was like a 9:35. And after that, everybody started like, oh, like, what happened to you? Like, who is this Carlos? I just said, like, I didn't know what to tell him, but yeah, that's how it went. And
It was almost like you did emerge a new athlete, individual. I thought that was real impressive, especially I did talk to your to Coach Laspada a little bit. He did talk to me a little bit about the struggles of, when you got injured and how um disappointing, not in you, but in the sense that, you were doing so well, and then boom, you hit a setback. But overcoming that type of adversity is pretty incredible. Um, we'll kind of talk about your transition from schools. What do you feel like was kind of like the biggest challenge for you coming into a new school? I know the more standard question is or answer is you got to deal with making new friends and are things going to fit, but what do you feel like was the thing that you were most afraid of uh for switching schools?
mm, I guess the biggest problem with that was not knowing many people, but everything else was fine. Just being at Coronado, I already knew the team from Franklin.
Right.
I was really friends with those guys. We used to talk too back then. So just coming in was like it wasn't no problems really. It was a very smooth transition, and I just hang out with those guys like all the time.
Did that, you know, you kind of talk about that smooth transition. Did that surprise you a little bit that you felt like you kind of like just slid in there and fit in so well? Did that kind of surprise you a little bit?
Yeah, it did. I never expected to um come into Franklin like that, but they're super welcoming and it just made me feel like I fit in. There's some great guys.
You know, you like we kind of discussed a little bit earlier in the interview, you know, you were lucky enough to run under Coach C and Coach L and taken many great lessons, you know, from two highly esteemed, programs. You know, they've had incredible athletes come out from both sides of of both schools, and it's kind of funny because Coronado and Franklin are pretty big rivals. You know, so
Yeah.
you kind of like bridge the two together. Um, what do you feel like? And I think it would be more appropriate to answer for both schools, both programs. What do you feel like you've learned from each program that is going to carry with you into college and help you compete um well over there at a collegiate level?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start out with Coronado.
Mhm.
Um, Coach Corrigan always gave me so many chances. He actually threatened to kick me out of the team multiple times. And I think if he would, I wouldn't have been here. So he made me believe in just second chances, and you can always pick yourself up from wherever you are and just hard work
Right
and
on.
dedication. Yes. And then with Franklin, Coach Espada always tells me that he said I always felt part of the family, and uh, just being at Coronado, he would cheer for me too. And I guess the things that I learned from being at Franklin is just like for sure discipline, and it's very hard to like describe it, but like love in general. Like
Kind of giving you would you say it's kind of a sense of belonging that helps contribute to like a
yeah,
level
for
high level of
sure.
motivation?
It's just like so welcoming. Just I remember my first practice. Uh, I felt part of the team already, and I felt very included already, just by my first practice.
Now, when you go on to run in college, it can be very competitive, not only in a team aspect, but individually. How do you feel like you're gonna handle that type of situation well with some of the things that you've learned? You know, because you're going seemingly into a team that you know some about, but you're on a personal level, you're not really familiar with. How do you feel like these lessons are gonna help you integrate yourself, you know, kind of put yourself into this team and fit in?
Yeah, so I went on my visit to UIW and I met the team and the coach. And one of the things that he told me is that he also saw where I came from and my big change from my season. And he said, just don't lose that motivation. And because he said it's because college is more different because it's like bigger, right? The coaches
Hmm.
have like more stuff to do, more like responsibilities.
Right.
So he said the motivation part of it, he's not gonna work on that much. It's just like on my own and just
Hmm.
like always stay driven and stuff. And then on my visit, when I met the guys, it just invited me to go out to go eat dinner, and it was just also very welcoming. And they were like telling me to come and be part of the team. So it was also very exciting.
So you get to experience some of those similarities where immediately they're kind of just bringing you into the team and, you know, making you feel part of what they're trying to grow as a program, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome,
It's very similar.
awesome. Well, I like to close my interviews out with, you know, it's the most cliche question, you know, but I always feel like getting different answers might help a future athlete or a future runner in the sport. what is one tip that you can give to future runners, that might feel like they need a different change of scenery for one, because you swap schools, which is not an easy thing to do so late in your high school career for one. What advice would you give to those kids that are doing that, and also any other athlete that is considering running in college?
Yes. Running is all about your mindset and that positive mindset. I remember when I used to go into a meet like, oh, I'm not gonna do so good. There's like all these top guys. I won't be able to stay with them. And always it did pretty bad. But coming into the season, I always thought positive. I'm gonna just stay with the top pack and hang in there as much as I can. So for sure, just running is about your mindset and like that pain you feel during the race. It's gonna hurt, but you're gonna have to endure it until you finish because that pain will be temporary. It's gonna be like 1 hour after you finish your
Hmm.
race or 2 hours, but
Right.
it's just temporary. It's how I think of it. And then for those wanting to just like make that change, like sure, I did it by switching schools, but I also saw in the book by David Goggins that you can start organizing your room in a different way to create that like new change in your life.
Hmm.
Just like again, it's all about mindset. Um,
Right.
you just gotta be very motivated, not motivated, but just disciplined. Because motivation is temporary. Because I can watch a video and get motivated, but that motivation will die out. It's just that doing that good habit every day to create that discipline. And yeah,
So, well, thank you very much for, sitting down and taking time to let people kind of hear your story a little bit. I like these interviews. They're a lot of fun. Um, you're signing to an incredible school. Well, you already signed. You're going to a great college, and we look forward to seeing your progression. I am confident, and I know I got to talk again to Coach Laspada, and he has a lot of high praise for you, just talking about how well of an individual, how well mannered you are, and how hard of a worker you are. So a lot of we expect a lot of big things to you, and that's not to put any pressure on you, but we know based on your work ethic and your personality that you're going to do real well and excel at the college level. So again, congratulations. Thank you for sitting down, and hopefully one of these days maybe we'll sit down again. You can kind of tell me what it's like running at a college level.
yes, sir. I want to thank you for interviewing me and just having me on here.
You're very welcome. You put in the hard work, so this is for you. You know, and thank your parents. They're the ones that
No,
had to
yeah.
work with you through all this hard stuff. So we'll talk to you soon, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.